Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. In today's video, I'm going to be showing you guys the basics of Autodesk Sketchbook, and we're also going to be going through some of the pros and cons of this application. If you're a returning subscriber, I'm so happy to have you back. Thank you so much for coming. If this is your first time of being on my channel, welcome. Please don't make it your last. Hit the subscribe button, and without wasting too much of our time, let's just get right into this video. So guys, I'm just going to launch my Autodesk Sketchbook now, and I'm going to go through the basic features of this application. I'm going to just go through the user interface. So I was already drawing something. I'm just going to start all over from the beginning. So yeah, when we launch Autodesk Sketchbook, this is what our workspace is going to look like. On the left side, we have the brush library. At the top, we have the toolbar, and at the right side, we have the layer editor. So I'm just going to run through the brushes with you guys. There are a lot of brushes on Autodesk Sketchbook, which brings me to my number one con. Autodesk Sketchbook doesn't allow you to import new brushes. I mean the Autodesk Sketchbook for an Android device, it doesn't allow you to import new brushes or download new brushes. You can only work with the one that comes with the application, which is just so sad, but not really sad like that, because you can always adjust the settings to your preference, adjust it to do what you want to do. There are a lot of adjustments to make to the different brushes in Autodesk Sketchbook. So yeah, I just want you guys to go ahead and explore all the brushes here and see what works for you best. I personally like to move my best brushes to the side, and I can do this by holding on my best brush for a long time and moving it to the side. This way I'll be able to access my brush without having to come here and scroll down and scroll up and do all of that. So yeah, you can increase the size of a brush. You can also reduce the size, increase and reduce the opacity of the brush. Another shortcut method for increasing size and opacity is by toggling this up and down, and also toggling this up and down. Another method is by coming to this double puck here. We call this icon here the double puck. So we can just slide it to the side to increase the size, and slide it to, if you slide it to the right hand side, we'll be able to increase the size. If you slide it to the left hand side, we'll be able to decrease the size. If you slide it up, you'll be able to increase the opacity, and if you slide it down, you'll be able to reduce the opacity. So yeah, I think that's all. I'm done talking about the brush. Let me see. There's nothing more to say. Just go through all of the brushes to see what you like and what is going to work for you best. So next, we're going to be moving to the toolbar. On the toolbar, the first thing that we're going to be seeing is the main menu button. So this button allows us to add new sketches, to access our Autodesk gallery, to share our illustration, and to reset our preferences. If we click on the new sketch, we'll be able to create a new canvas size. We can either customize what we want our canvas size to be, or we can just work with the already made dimensions that comes with the application. Okay, so if we click on the gallery button, we'll be able to access all of the things that we've done on Autodesk. It takes us to our gallery in Autodesk, and we'll be able to see all of the work that we've done. On this screen, there is a plus button just at the bottom. If we click on this plus button, we'll be able to add a new sketch. We'll be able to add a new image from our gallery, our phone gallery this time, or our device gallery. We'll be able to take a new picture from our camera, and we'll be able to scan sketches. Then at the right bottom side, there's a button that enables us to share our illustrations, to make a slideshow, to rotate, to duplicate an illustration, to export the PSD file, and to also delete an illustration. So I'm just going to go back to our explanation. So the next button is the undo button, which, like the name says, undo. It just removes what we've done before, and redo, it brings back what we have undone. So yeah, the undo button and the redo button. So the next button is the selection button. Okay, so this button helps us to like pick a particular element. Let's say we have an illustration and there's something on that illustration that we want to reduce the size, increase the size, or reshape generally. All we have to do is to click on the selection button. There's the lasso, there's the rectangle, magic wand. So I'm just going to click on the lasso and I'm going to go round that element with the lasso. Yeah, I've selected it this way, and then I'll move on to the next tool, which is the transformation button. And this button will let me distort whatever it is I've picked. I can distort it. I can do anything I want to. Basically, I can move it to the left, to the right, up, down. I can flip it horizontally, vertically. I can rotate it. And yeah, so that's it for the selection tool and for the selection tool and the transformation tool. So the next tool that we're going to be talking about is the fill tool. So this fill tool just helps us to like fill in colors in Autodesk Sketchbook. It just helps us to fill colors, basically, like the name says, fill. It helps us to fill. So the next tool is the guide tool. This tool helps us to draw circular shapes, make us to draw curved lines that we can always change the angle of. It helps us to draw straight lines and all of that. So that's the basic function. That's the function of the guide tool. Next up, we have the symmetry tool. This symmetry tool, okay, what it does basically is that it helps us to reflect whatever it is we are doing on one side to the other side. So right now, my symmetry tool is on for vertically. So whatever it is I'm doing here reflects on the other side. If it's for horizontally, whatever it is I'm doing up here, I think you guys should get the point by now. Then if it's for radially, anything I'm doing on one side reflects all over the other side. So yeah, that's what the symmetry tool does for us. The next tool is the draw style. It just helps us draw straight lines, oval shapes. We can resize it. We can just reshape it to whatever it is we want. We can make it any length that we want, basically. So that's the work of the draw guide. Moving on, we'll be talking about the predictive stroke tool. So this button helps us to make freehand shapes perfect. It helps us to do this by predicting what we want to draw and helping us out. If you don't have a steady hand, I'll advise that you always have this on. I personally always have this on while I'm drawing, but not all the time though. But yeah, I always have it on, the predictive stroke button. So the next button is the import image. This button just helps us to import an image from our gallery into our workspace, and when we import an image, we'll be able to resize it, distort it, we can reshape it, we can just flip and rotate and do all of that, the basic things that the transformation tool does. So the next tool that we're going to be talking about is the perspective guide. I'll be very honest with you guys, I've never used this tool before, and I think it's something that is not really necessary in fashion illustration. I personally have never used this tool, and I don't know, I cannot explain to you what it does, but I know that it's something about perspective and all of that, something to help you draw, make all this perspective drawing and all of that. Let's move on. I don't know what this does. The next tool is the add text tool. So with this button, you can be able to add text. You can change the color of your text. You can distort it. You can flip it. Now, I have another thing I don't like about Autodesk Sketchbook. You see, the Android version of this application only supports 6 fonts, which is so unfair. And these are just 6 basic fonts. On the Autodesk for an Apple device or for a Windows, a computer, basically, you can import new fonts, you can download new fonts, but on this version of Autodesk, you are only stuck with these 6 fonts that are just very basic. So sad. Moving on, we have the time-lapse button, which just helps us to record whatever it is that we are doing on our screen. Another thing I don't like about Autodesk Sketchbook is that while you are recording what you are doing on your screen, it doesn't stay fixed. If you zoom in, it zooms in with you, which is somehow. Another drawing apps, it just stays fixed and it just records whatever it is you are doing like this. But on Autodesk, it goes in, it goes out with you. It's just really, really somehow. I don't like this about Autodesk, and I really like it that they fix this issue. So the last button on the toolbar is the hide menu button. It just helps us to hide all our menu icons so that there are no distractions on our screen when we are working. So that's it for our toolbar. I'm going to go through the colors now. On Autodesk, there are a lot of colors to work with. We have this color wheel which can just go around to pick the color that you want to work with. We have the HSL to increase or reduce the hue, saturation, and the lightness. They have the RGB. There's some color swatches here, and this last tool just helps us to change the colors that we are working with. So we also have the Copic library where you can pick a lot of colors from. I personally always work with the Copic library. Like, I just come here and pick whatever it is I want to work with. There are a lot of beautiful colors here on the Copic library, and I think that's all for the colors. So the last thing I'm going to touch on now is the layer editor, which is something that you have to pay a lot of attention to. So let's get right into that. So the layer editor is found on the right side of our screen. This is where we see all of our layers when we add new ones, and where we can make changes to our different layers. So to add a new layer, you click on the plus button that is on the top, and when a layer is selected, it's highlighted in blue. Whenever you are drawing, always make sure that you are drawing on the right layer, and you know this by looking out for the blue mark all around a particular layer, a particular square. So when a layer is selected, you can do a lot of things to it. You can copy, you can paste, you can cut, duplicate, and all of that. You can also increase and reduce the opacity of a layer. You can reduce it, you can increase it. Yeah, so I'm just going to explain how I draw to you guys and how I always take note of my layers when I'm drawing. For example, I want to draw a heart shape. So I always do all of my line art on one layer, and then I add a new layer to color. Then I move the layer for my line art to the top. And why do I do this? I do this because I don't want my color to cover my line art. I don't know if you get me. Okay, let me just explain. So before I moved it up, my line art layer was at the bottom. You can move your layers by just holding on it for a long time and moving it. So my line art layer was at the bottom and my coloring layer was on the top. Now if I color on the coloring layer, I don't know if you can see, but this red color is covering the black lines, which is not supposed to be. So if I move my sketch layer to the top, it's going to overshadow the red line. I don't know if you get me. Now when I want to shade, I also make sure that I make a new layer for shading, and this new layer is just going to be at the top of the coloring layer. If that new layer is at the bottom of the coloring layer, we're not going to see what I'm shading. I can see it out here, but I can't see it here. But when I move it up, you will see that everything just becomes visible for us to see. So I don't know if you get me, if you understand what I've been trying to explain, but I'm definitely going to do another video concerning layers. But yeah, that's it basically. So this is a time-lapse video I did from Autodesk Sketchbook. As you can see, it keeps zooming in and out, which just sucks. But all in all, Autodesk is a very wonderful application to use. It is free, it is user-friendly, and you don't have a lot of ads going all over the place like some applications. Autodesk is amazing. One thing you need to keep in mind though, if you are using the phone version, is that it crashes a lot. it crashes, it hangs, and you keep losing your work. If you don't have a lot of space on your device, it is going to crash. So make sure you have a lot of space, and make sure you're not running different applications at the same time. So that's it, guys. Thank you so much for watching my video. Please don't forget to subscribe and comment down below, and I'm going to see you guys in my next video. Bye.